Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world. Anyway, it's a bit crazier again today. So, the news literally just in is that no verdict has been reached still in the Preston Davey Monster Dads trial. The jury went out for deliberation yesterday. Um, and they've been deliberating all day today. They didn't come to a verdict yesterday. They've been deliberating all day today. And just now, somebody that I follow there on Twitter who has been following this case and, has his own reasons for doing so, has just announced somebody has been out and said no verdict reached. Deliberation will continue on Monday. What do we make of that? Now, I've sat here all day staring at the computer. I did a live this morning about Nancy Guthrie. I took my son to work. I came back and I've literally been sat in front of the computer, sort of more or less just staring at the Manchester Evening News update section and Twitter, where people, who are there at the courtroom that I follow, waiting. And then they went off for lunch, apparently, the jury, and they came back and it was said that if they didn't reach a verdict before 3:30 British time, which of course it isn't that time yet. It's 3:15 British time, isn't it? Because it's 4:15 Spanish time. And let me just read you this tweet that I've just read. The police have just come out and told us back on Monday, no decision reached. I'm stunned. Whereas earlier, it felt like there was going to be a verdict. People had said the verdicts were going to come out today. And Sky News were there and some of the bigger news agencies. And they obviously were expecting a verdict, and now no verdict. So what do we make of that? Is that a good sign or a bad sign? I've got to say, in recent cases that I've covered, remember the mushroom murders and the Delphi murder trial, the Delphi murders, both of them, it took quite a long time, didn't it? And we started to panic a bit, thinking, oh my God, they're going to come to the wrong verdict. Or in our eyes, I mean, at the end of the day, we've all got our opinions about what the verdict should be. But they actually turned out to be positive results. I do think that sometimes when it's complicated, like there's a lot of complications in this case. Well, first of all, you've got two defendants. So you've got two sets of charges. Multiple charges. So the jury have to come to a verdict on each one of those charges. And I think the biggest one that they're going to be deliberating over, just in my opinion, the only thing that I would perhaps is whether is Jamie Varley, of course, is being accused of both manslaughter and murder. It may be that the judge did quite quickly know that should be held guilty of one of them. But maybe they're arguing about which one. Should it be manslaughter? Should it be murder? And then there's the lesser charges. They all take quite a lot of deliberation, don't they? Even, there's quite a lot of different charges that don't necessarily mean that just because they're guilty of one, they'd be guilty of another. And then with John GF, it's how much did he know? His barrister has tried to make him out more of the innocent party, hasn't he? To be honest, I don't think it's been successful, or not in my opinion anyway. But, we don't know what the jury are thinking. So that's where we are. Anyway, hello, lovely lurkers. Thank you to all of you who care about Preston who watch this video. Thank you. Thank you, replay crew. Thank you to those who've hyped the videos, liked them, who've subscribed to my channel. Special thanks as always to my members, to people who send me Ko-fis, etc. Thank you. And now let's see who's here. Hi, Inquiring Mind. Hi, Jacqueline. Yeah, a lot of circumstantial evidence. They'll be going through a lot of things. I honestly, I don't think it's it's an annoying thing because that we've got to wait till Monday. I don't think it's a bad sign, personally. Not, judging by other trials that I've covered. So I think what I've found, if you like, or what struck me in other cases, is because the thing is, you always, especially where you think that it's as clear as the nose on your face, they're guilty. So it's hard to understand why the jury just don't immediately come back with guilty. But of course, we don't know what's going on in there. We don't know, they had to read through that thing from the judge for a start. The judge gave them a document, didn't he? He's summed up, if you like. It's a lot to consider. I mean, these are big responsibilities because the thing is, these men, they are going to be, they're going to end up with long sentences if they're found guilty, and life in prison for PDFs, people who kill babies. Life in prison is not a pleasant experience, is it? So it's a big responsibility. They'll want to get it right. I'm just trying to be positive because, what I found in other trials that we've covered, if they don't come up with quite a quick verdict, then you start to worry and you think, oh God, are they going to come up with not guilty? But then when it goes another day again, it seems to come back with guilty, or it has done in the cases I've looked at before. But in this case, we don't know. So the jury, don't forget, they'll have all weekend now to go home and think about. Maybe it's a hung jury. Maybe some are holding out, like not guilty. And, even what, because remember the judge has said he will only accept a majority verdict at this stage anyway. It may be further down the line. If it goes on and on, he may accept a not guilty, a hung jury, he may not, he may accept a not unanimous verdict further down the line. But at the moment, he made it clear, didn't he? When they went out for deliberation, it has to be unanimous. So it could be just one person holding out, so it's important. So the jury will go home. It's like, oh God, we've got to wait till Monday. Seems like an eternity, doesn't it? Anyway, what can we do? We've just got to accept it. At least they haven't come back with not guilty. So, I think it's promising still. Hi, Sean. Yeah, John's do you know what? Sometimes I think John, he's like the scarier one to me. I don't, because I know Jamie's a prick, basically. He's a drama queen. He's all those things. But John seems quite calculating to me. I almost think he's a scarier person than Jamie because he's more, I don't know, he gives me the creeps, John, big time. I'm sorry, but he does. I'm just saying what I think. And he did know things. He'd seen videos and photos. He's so irresponsible. At the very least, they should never have given that. Neither of them had a clue they were doing. Treating that baby like he was about 13 months old, leaving him in a bath. Even if you believe their story, propping him up in his cot with his head, his neck hanging on the cot. Why would you do that? And just leaving him there, Hi, Louise. Don't worry, we've only just started. And sadly, I haven't got a verdict to bring you, just the news that there won't be a verdict till at least Monday. Now, I think it's Tuesday that is Preston's birthday, isn't it? His 4th birthday, where they're having the vigil for him. Now, that might be quite apt. We'll be covering that, definitely. I'm going to set up a live stream for that. I can't film it live, but I've inquired, and hopefully somebody will be filming it live, and we'll be able to watch it live. But at the very least, I'll be lighting a candle for Preston, and we'll be able to say some prayers, and we join in the vigil from a distance. So that would, in a way, that would be quite nice if a guilty verdict came out on his birthday as well. But that'd mean wait until Tuesday. We definitely don't want to wait till Tuesday as well. Surely this jury will have time to think over the weekend, and one way or another it'll get sorted on Monday. Listen, but thank you all for caring about him. That's it. It's nice the way that people do care about Preston. Thank God somebody cares about him, and he mattered. What these men did to him, whatever, even if you take away the sex abuse, they neglected him, they treated him terrible, they didn't take account of his feelings, leaving him in the bath, spinning him too fast in the cup. He was just like a plaything. They had no clue. They couldn't look after a goldfish and mind a baby. So at least we care about Preston, don't we? In fact, let's have a little look at him. I know he's up there in the top right-hand corner, but quite often like to have a little closer look at him. I mean, he's just so adorable. Look at his curly hair, which, remember, was not wet after he's supposed to have been submerged in the bath. How could you hurt this little one? How could you? You just couldn't. We're not programmed to hurt babies. How could these men do it? Anyway, so there's a couple of other things though I just wanted to talk about, even though I haven't got any verdict to bring you. So this is the artist's impression, believe it or not. I mean, how do these people who do artist impressions make a living? Has he been paid to do that? Because this is supposed to be, don't forget, so it's supposed to be John. The guy on the right with the glasses, this is him, supposedly. Looks absolutely nothing like him. He looks practically bald there. He's got a massive forehead. Has he changed that much since this photo? And then, of course, the other guy is supposed to be Jamie Varley once he grew his hair out and had his blonde streaks, etc., and grew his facial hair. I don't think either of them look like the actual men themselves. Anyway, I just want to show you that because I thought it was interesting. And another thing I'm going to show you, and I'm going to explain to you why, is what I think is the most chilling photo from all the ones we've seen. I mean, of course, we haven't seen many photos, have we? We have only seen, what we've been allowed to see so far. But this photo, I think about this photo a lot, and I find it chilling. So this is when they arrived at the hospital. Now look at so apparently, Jamie's doing his usual histrionic self. He's got his Jurassic Park pajamas on, his Rupert Bear pajama bottoms, and he's got his head in his hands. So apparently he just thrust Preston into the arms of I don't know if that's the security guard or if it's an actual paramedic. And then, whereas you can see that John GF, he's much calmer, isn't he? But anyway, what's chilling to me is look at the baby, look at Preston. He's dead, isn't he? He's just completely limp in that man's arms. That baby, and I'm going to get upset. That baby was dead before they even got him to that hospital. And the only reason they took him in the end was because he stopped breathing. You know, they said he went floppy. He died. That's what happened. Because Jamie Varley left him on the bed while he was texting about kayaks. You know, he was left for over an hour, but being videoed, breathing his last. It's chilling, isn't it? Look at him, his little body, his little limp body in that man's arms. Something else that I was watching yesterday on the news that immediately made me think of this case. You know, there's this big kerfuffle about Snapchat. Who was on Snapchat every 5 minutes? Jamie Varley. And I remember saying in a previous video, what's a man of nearly 40 or certainly in his late 30s? What's he doing on Snapchat? Snapchat, not many older people go on Snapchat. But it was saying on the news yesterday that Snapchat is used a lot by PDFs because it has these disappearing messages. You know, people put messages up and they just disappear. Why was he on Snapchat? A teacher, a head teacher, well, a head of year teacher at a private school. He's on bloody Snapchat. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Why? Was he selling photos of Preston? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What was he taking all those nude photos for? You know, where he said he was taking them to show Preston for a laugh when he got to 18, or Preston's girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. He wasn't, of course. He was taking them for his own pleasure and for his partner's pleasure. And who was he sending them to on Snapchat? Why was he so involved with Snapchat? Anyway, so yeah, very chilling photo in my eyes. That little boy is just as limp as anything. He's dead. No wonder they couldn't save him. He'd probably been deceased for quite a while. And then the other thing that just struck me earlier when I was looking at it, hadn't John GF just come back from work? Now, other photos we see of John GF and Jamie, let's have a look at this. You know, I can't see if he's got a tie on under his scarf. Vally's got a tie on there. Why is John dressed so casually if he'd just come back from work? I don't know, it just seems... He supposedly is a salesman in a multi-million-dollar company selling multi-million-dollar contracts. Is that how he goes to work? I mean, he's smart casual, I suppose. I don't know, but he's got a T-shirt on. It's not even a polo shirt or whatever. I don't know, it just looks incongruous to me. Maybe had he got off a flight that day? Oh, working away so much. Just the way he's dressed doesn't seem like he's been to work, unless he got changed after work on his, before he came home. And there's that, when they say a picture tells a story, don't they? And that picture to me tells quite a few stories. First of all, it tells me that Preston is dead already. That's not a natural way to lie. He hasn't got his legs curled up. He's just completely limp in that guy's arms. And then you look at Jamie and the way his reaction is. Dramatic, head in his hands. Of course, he's only thinking about himself. And the fact of the pyjamas that he's got on, Jurassic Park. How old is he, for God's sake? He's like... It just, I say, this picture tells us so much about the situation. And then John, sort of more calm, and I don't know, there's something, he's almost too calm, John. He gives me the chills in a different way. So what do you think? Do you think Preston's already dead in that photo? Yeah. Yeah, he works in Salford Quays, inquiry mind. He works in Salford Quays. Office is in Salford Quays. And yeah, smart casual. Which just looking at the other photos, yeah, I think he's definitely gone there. Definitely gone there, Jacqueline. Um, in other photos of him, though, he looks more. Look at this one of him with his dog. Don't know, maybe you can't tell because he's got a jacket on. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know. Just struck me, that's all. I'm sure the clothes he's got on in this photo are, smart clothes. Though it doesn't look very smart, does it? To me, smart casual is, yeah, maybe you don't have to wear a tie, but perhaps you'd wear a shirt or a polo or something. If you're dealing with banks and supposed multi-million pound deals, anyway, that's how it struck me. So it just made me think, did he actually get changed? He may have got changed before he left work. Just something that struck me when I looked at that photo. Um, so anyone who's just coming in, there is no verdict yet. Just to reiterate, the jury have been sent home and they'll be back on Monday. So we've got an agonising wait till Monday. Is it a good sign? Is it a bad sign? We don't know. We don't know if it, are they just wrangling about whether it should be murder or manslaughter for Varley? That is a strong possibility because, it will make a big difference to his sentence. And then there's all the other charges to go through one by one. So it's a complex case. So I don't think it means it's going to be not guilty. The verdict, I definitely don't think that. I don't think it does mean that. But yeah, 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 a slew of charges. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Louise. I think John is a colder and more sinister character, definitely. Let's put that picture up again for a minute. It's a picture I can't get out of my head, and it's funny because I think it's just seeing Preston there so limp. It just seems obvious to me that he's gone. And I think they waited and waited and waited, hoping that he would bounce back like he had done before. They even said that. Um, but videoing him, why did Jamie video him? Videoed him having that, he was, oh, I don't know how that was for the jury watching that. But there was Preston lying on the bed. He could not breathe, could not get his breath. And instead of immediately either phoning the ambulance or taking him immediately to the hospital, Varley started videoing Preston. But the jury have seen that video, don't forget. I mean, it's difficult enough to think about, isn't it? So, but they have actually seen it. So hopefully that will help towards the right verdict. But he just left him there. And then I think when John GF got home, I think they talked about it as he was on the way home. I don't believe that he didn't know until he got home. Don't believe it. And I think when he got home, it was probably John Jeff was probably saying to him, "Look, we've got to take him to the hospital." Varley, well, I can't take him to the hospital because I've just done whatever to him, and they might find out about it. That's how I feel the conversation probably went. Let's see what happens. Maybe he'll bounce back again. Maybe he'll bounce back again. And then eventually he went floppy. In other words, he died. And then, only then, did they pack him up and take him to the hospital. But of course, by then it was too late. I think Preston could have recovered if he would have been given more instant instant help. So Sean, Preston's biological mum. Now, I did a video about it. There's talk, speculation that Preston's biological mum was a young, well, she's not a young girl now, she'll be in her 30s now. But when she was young, she committed a crime. And she was in prison. There's speculation that this Preston's mum, I say it's on my channel. I don't know. I do know somebody who knows who the mum is and her story. They say it's a very tragic story in itself. Preston was taken off his biological mum literally as soon as he was born. He's never known family life. Now, there will be a reason why he was taken off his mum, of course. He won't have. Shame they didn't take Preston off this pair of twonks, isn't it? But they didn't. So I think when the verdict is reached and this case is over, I think then we will find out what the truth is. That's when we'll find out what the truth is, isn't it? So, that's another video, if you like, or another discussion in the future. We can't discuss that now because I can't find out 100% certain that Preston's mum is who I think it was. Having said that, was in the mainstream media, but it's now been removed, so you can't find out for certain. But as I say, someone that I sort of know, I say no, Twitter know, saying they know the full story about Preston's mum, and it's tragic. So when that comes, we will discuss that. Okay, now just to finish off, because there's nothing really more to say, because at the end of the day, that's the facts. That the verdict hasn't been reached, and we've got to wait till Monday for a verdict in this case. Now, what I am going to do, I think, over the weekend, I think so, if I've got time, I'm going to arrange sort of all the court things that we've gone through, put them on a playlist, and put them on my community post, so that if you want to look through the whole trial it's not from day one, it's from when we started covering. I didn't start covering from day one, but it's about 2 weeks of covering the trial. So I'm going to put them all in order, organise them in a playlist, I think. I'm going to try and do it anyway, and put that on the community post. So if you want to recap everything, because you do forget sometimes some of the things that have come up. Now, what I want to read last of all, so last night was Members Live, and I was reading out poems from this little yellow book, which is a little book that I've had for 40 years, believe it or not. God, it's scary to think of that. So luckily for me, I've had a bit more of a life than Preston. Poor Preston, he never had a chance to go through the good things in life. He went through a lot of the bad things just in the 4 months he was with these 2 twonks. But he never got a chance to go through the good things, to fall in love, to have children himself, etc. But when I went through this little book, there was a poem, wasn't there, that was very appropriate to this situation. So what this is it's a book of quotations and poems that I'd written out years ago when I was going through a bad time, just to make me feel better when I read it. So last night in the Members Live, I was reading out the different things, and one came up that was just so appropriate. Of course, I'm doing a Russell Brand now. Look, Russell Brand. Which page was it? I should have marked it, shouldn't I? I should have put a marker in it. I'm doing a Russell Brand. I can't seem to find the page. Now I know how Russell Brand felt, looking for the appropriate Bible verse, which was the reason why he found God. Here it is. Here it is. Now I'm definitely. I feel quite like Russell Brand now. No, I don't really. I don't. Oh God, he's another one. We'll have his trial coming up soon, I suppose. Sorry, I'm reading the chat now. I got distracted because I start reading the chat and then I get distracted. Okay, so let me read out this poem. So it's by Patience Strong. And we had a little cry, didn't we? I can't find my glasses. It's very emotional. I thought, God, it's so apt for Preston's story. So, when the angel of death in his book records the life of some innocent child, I think he must weep as he writes the names of the young and the undefiled. I think that a tear on the page must fall, although a new soul in heaven is born. A tear not for those who are safe with God, but for those who are left to mourn. And it's a lovely poem, I think. The thing is, yeah, we must remember, and we can only hope, and it depends what you believe and what your faith is, that Preston now really is in a better place. He'll be getting all that love and cuddles and things that he should have had in this life. You know, not left in a bath for 14 minutes or spun so fast in the park that he literally, his eyes rock back in his head. No, hopefully now in heaven, Preston, he'll be getting the attention that he should have got, the love. How could you not love this baby? I just don't get it. I would love to if I'd give Preston a cuddle. You just want when you see Preston's little face, in his little smile, and he's just all that little sort of cheekiness and hope and all in it, and they looked at that baby and saw something completely different. You know, they're evil. They are demons. I mean, the devil does walk amongst us, and it manifests itself in people. And that's, in my opinion, what happened. I mean, we haven't had the verdict yet, so we don't, God knows if the jury will agree with it or not. But do you know what? Won't matter to me what the jury come up with, because I know what I think. I look at this little boy, he's the cutest, most adorable boy you can imagine. And they looked at him and thought of sex or abuse, or thought of he's a plaything, you know, spin him round till he's sick at the park. This boy was sick every 5 minutes. The whole case was just talking about vomit all the time. It's just not normal in a baby. It's normal a little bit of sick here and there. All babies are sick, but not like this one was. And that's because of the mistreatment that he received. That's why he kept being sick. And the seizures. He never had a seizure till he went to live with these two twonks. Never had a seizure. He was with them 4 months. He ended up with all those seizures, 3 hospital admissions, broken arm, 40 separate injuries to his bottom, bite mark on his bottom, bruises to his forehead, clusters of bruises, bruises to the back of his throat. His bladder was injured. All those in 4 months. And we're supposed to believe that was just accidental. Because remember, you know, Vile Varley, or Varley the Viper, or whatever you want to call him, this twang. Oh, it had nothing to do with me, it's just accidents. He was just a clumsy baby. Clumsy baby, wasn't he, according to this twonk? Well, we know, I think we all know, really, that's not true. You know, that it just isn't true. It's too much. So that's my opinion. Yeah, fashion accessory, a pet, yeah. He was just like a little, don't know what, just a plaything. Actually, might have a look, see if I can find easily his interview, because That first interview, or when he was at the hospital. Yeah, let's have a look at his history on it at the hospital. Crying for his mum. Yeah, lucky for him, he had a mum to call for, didn't it? And we don't know, of course. Give it all, I wonder. See if this is the video. They always take so long to come up. There's the video. Just takes a little while to load up. It's coming up now. Oh, here we go. Right, let me make sure it's sharing. Hang on. Need to take that off. Yeah, let's just remind ourselves of what a drama queen he is. Grown man, head of year at a private school is supposed to be responsible. How did he even get that job? I wonder. How did he get that job in charge of children at a high school? And how did he get to adopt a baby when he's just a big man baby himself? Isn't he? Right, let's have a look. How did he? Now, this is something else that I'm thinking is, were they given this baby to fill some sort of diversity sort of thing? It's like, oh, we've got to give to so many gay couples. Instead of assessing them for their ability to look after a baby, which is non-existent patently. Yeah, they just anyway. Oh, I hate this whirring. So yeah, that would be awful if they were only given Preston, or part of the reason they were maybe pushed to the top of the list. I would imagine a lot of couples who adopt other than adults, or teenagers, because teenagers are, even harder work, aren't they, for different reasons. Probably a lot of people would quite like to have a baby. Oh, it's not coming. It's not starting, is it? Let's try another one. Come on. Stop worrying and start playing. Oh, it might not come on. I don't know. Don't know. It's decided it's on strike. Computer. Right, let me try another one that's not the BBC. It's the BBC doesn't want to do it. Work better. Page is not available at the moment. Try this. This one might work, hopefully. Have to wait a little minute, see if it comes on. If not, I might. Oh, there you go. Where's the? Dad. Mom, the thing is, he didn't want to go. Like they were saying to him, "Oh, your son needs you." Of course, he wasn't his son. He hadn't earned the. He hadn't had him long enough for him to be his son. And in the short time that he had him, that little boy just suffered so much. Um, but the things he didn't want to go and see Preston. He probably couldn't have sort of looked at him because he knows what he's done to him. So he's calling for his mom. His mom. Poor Preston. Who did Preston have to call out for, eh? You were the one that was supposed to be protecting him. Like you're calling for your mum in your Jurassic Park t-shirt, your Rupert the Bear pajama bottoms, like a child, and you wanted to be an adoptive dad to that beautiful baby, and look what you did to him. Oh, it makes me so angry. right for John. Yeah. So let me just switch off. I think I've been talking. But you know what? I feel like I want to see it again because I want to remind myself of how childish this man is. This man that was given a baby to look after. That's how did he pass through the vetting procedures? Him or John? Neither of them had any clue. And they were just handed over a baby like a precious commodity. A baby, a beautiful baby like Preston, who needed, and actually Preston was quite comfortable with his foster parents, wasn't he? They should have left him with them. Anyway, I just wanted to see it just to remind me why I don't like Jamie so much, because I don't want to. Sometimes I think, oh, maybe I'm being a bit unfair on him, but I don't think I am. I don't think I am being unfair. In fact, especially when you look now. So, see how upset he was there. Then a year later, he's had his new change of look and this, that, and the other, and all this sort of drama has gone. Then he's just like accusatory to the police. He can't believe it's been arrested. How dare you arrest me? What are you even suggesting? And he never ever, even in all the testimony that we've listened to at the court, it's not, oh, poor Preston, he's never going to get a chance to have his life, or blah blah blah. It's all about them. It's all about them. Such selfish men, very selfish men, should never have been given this beautiful boy. And just one more time, I want to go back to this photo that I find just that photo tells such a picture, tells a story. You got Preston is 99% certain that Preston is dead in that photo already. Jamie knows it. That's why his history on it, covering his eyes over his hands over his face, etc. Then you've got John GF, chillingly nonchalant as he always is. It's a very graphic photo that I think of the whole situation. But anyway, so listen, thank you so much for caring about Preston. We've got to wait till Monday for a decision. Oh, and I just want to say, yeah, I agree with you, Sean. There's hardly been any coverage on the main news about it. I think there'll be coverage when the verdict comes up. But, it is an unpalatable subject. That's why, I suppose. And then I think as well, not so much is being said about this case. They're not immigrants, are they? If this was an immigrant family, look at Sarah Sharif, an Indian family. That was all over the news in the Sarah Sharif trial. Well, Preston's hardly been mentioned. Is it because they're not immigrants? They're respectable people, supposedly, a teacher, a sales executive for £1 million bank who goes to work in a t-shirt and jeans. It just makes you wonder, how do the mainstream media, how do they decide who they talk about and who they don't, Why is Preston not being given more attention? You know, in some cases, reach all over the world, don't they? Sean's in Australia, but you know, some cases go all the way over there, but not Preston's. Preston's case hasn't even been talked about much in the UK. So it's very angering. It's very angering. But now I may be back before Monday with not about Preston, of course, because there won't be anything to say. I've got a few Australian things. Funnily enough, I haven't talked about Australian. There's some Australian things I want to follow up on and talk about that I've wanted to talk about but been consumed, obviously, with the Preston case. I may do that over the weekend. If not, it'll be Monday when I'll be back. But listen, you all take care of yourselves. Thank you for caring about this little boy. At least we care about him. At least we care about Preston. I'm sure his biological mum cares. I'm sure his foster mum cares as well. But I don't believe, maybe even his grandma, Jamie's mum, cares. I don't know how she feels about it all, but so yeah, look after yourself. Do something nice for yourself this weekend. Go to the beach. Go to the woods. Give your dog a hug. Have a manicure. Have a pedicure. Have a massage. God, I would love a massage. You go and get your hair done, or you know, I don't know. Do something nice. Something for you, because you are the more important person. Hey, Joanne. How are you? I'm afraid I'm just about finishing off now, Joanne, but I'll be back. Hasta la vista, baby. But anyway, so yeah, take care of yourself until I see you again. All of you, may your God go with you. And thank you.